Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back. It's Miss Argento with our literacy lesson for day 34. I am so excited that we are all here and learning together today. Today, we are going to continue talking about the poem, We Depend on Trees. This is a poem that we have heard before and that we love. In this poem, the author has the opinion that we all depend on trees. So we are going to read that poem today. Think about why the author says that animals depend on trees. What is she telling us with this poem? What is her opinion? And we're going to be doing some drawing, labeling, and maybe even some writing. So I am ready to get started. We are starting with the poem, We Depend on Trees. As I read through this poem, I would like you to think about why the author says animals depend on trees. What is this author's opinion? That's what we're going to be thinking about today. So, as we talk about this poem, as I read it, just keep your brains open and thinking, why does the author say that animals depend on trees? Okay, so let's get started. We depend on trees. We depend on trees. We depend on trees. We eat fruits and nuts and chocolates. We depend on trees. Caterpillars depend on trees. Caterpillars depend on trees. They munch on leaves just as they please. Caterpillars depend on trees. Deer depend on trees. Deer depend on trees. They feed on bark in day or dark. Deer depend on trees. Squirrels depend on trees. Squirrels depend on trees. They scarf down seeds and nuts with ease. Squirrels depend on trees. Birds depend on trees. Birds depend on trees. They fly in line to eat and dine. Birds depend on trees. What a wonderful poem. I really do enjoy reading and listening to that. Now that we've read through our poem, let's talk about why the author says that animals depend on trees. She talks about it a lot in the poem. We are depending on trees as people, different animals, caterpillars, deer, squirrels, birds, they all depend on trees. What's her opinion? Why are trees so important? Yes, great job. Give yourself a pat on the back. The author believes that trees are so important to animals because they provide food for these animals. In the poem, she talks about how the different animals eat from the trees. That's a great job, boys and girls. Now we know what the author's opinion is for why trees are so important. They're so important for food, for us and lots of different other animals to eat. Now that we know about our author's opinion, we are going to draw and label a picture of one of the reasons the author gives to support her opinion about trees. Now, we know that her opinion is that trees are important to animals for food. So let's think about what we can draw that shows from our poem how trees are important to animals for food. I know what I'm going to draw. So here I have my paper ready. If you don't have your packet, that's okay. You can just get a regular piece of paper and a pencil. You can pause the video if you need to go get your stuff. If you do have this packet, awesome. You can turn to this day 34 part and we can get started. Now that everybody's ready, I'm going to share what I think that I would like to draw and label about. In the poem, the author talks about how deer depend on trees to eat bark any time of the day. So I think that I would like to draw and label a tree providing food for a deer. So a deer eating from a tree. So the first thing I need to do is draw my tree. I have to remember to label it. There's my tree and my label. Now I'm going to draw a deer. Gotta label him too. Now I'm labeling what my deer is doing. My deer is eating the bark right off the side of the tree that I drew. So I'm showing that the deer is depending on the tree for the food that it's eating. It is eating the bark. This is something we read about in our poem. I'm going to challenge myself, now that I've drawn and labeled my picture, to write some sentences about what the author thinks and what my picture is showing. The first sentence I'm going to write are that trees are important to animals for food. Trees are important to animals for food. We know that's what the author thinks when she talks about how we all depend on trees. We depend on trees for food. Now, in my picture, I'm showing that deer eat bark from trees. So I've added another sentence here that says, deer eat bark from trees. We read about it in our poem, and we know that's one way that deer depend on trees for food. Now it's your turn, boys and girls. You get to choose one of the different animals from our poem. You can draw and label a picture of one of the reasons that the author gives that animal, how they depend on trees, how is that tree important to that animal. If you'd like to take my challenge, you can write a sentence about your picture with labels as well. Don't forget when you're done to take a picture, send it to your teacher. I know they're going to be so excited to see your work. Great job today, boys and girls. I am so proud of us for everything that we're doing. I cannot wait till next time. Bye.